Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are taking a macro to micro journey through the complex governance of international shipping. We're going to unpack the inner workings of the International Maritime Organization, or the IMO, to see exactly how they regulate those massive vessels crossing our oceans.
Okay, let's dive into this. Before we zoom into the specific operational levels, let's look at the fundamental anatomy of the organization. The IMO structure is incredibly robust and is built on 4 core pillars: the Assembly, the Council, the 5 main technical committees, and finally, the Secretariat. Think of these as the essential building blocks that keep the entire global shipping industry functioning safely and efficiently.
Here is a quick roadmap of the organization for today so we don't get lost in the bureaucracy. We'll be looking at 1. The IMO hierarchy, 2. Assembly and Executive Council, 3. The 5 technical committees, and 4. Secretariat and funding.
Starting with Section 1, the IMO hierarchy, global to granular.
To really understand how the IMO operates, it helps to picture a massive funnel. The IMO translates the sheer scale of its global mandate into real-world action through a very strict hierarchy. They move from broad governing bodies right down to specialized technical experts and administrative staff. So the crucial point is that moving from this widest lens to the narrowest allows the IMO to govern an entire global industry effectively, ensuring every single regulation is expertly vetted and implemented.
Section 2. Assembly and Executive Council. The executive branches.
Now we're getting into the executive branches to uncover who actually holds the real decision-making power. On one side, you have the Assembly, which is the supreme governing body. It consists of all member states and meets every 2 years to do the heavy lifting, things like approving the work program and voting on the budget. On the other side is the Council, acting as the executive organ to step in and supervise the work of the organization and coordinate vital activities between those biennial Assembly sessions. And this brilliantly illustrates the contrast between the ultimate power of the Assembly and the day-to-day supervisory duties of the Council.
Let's break down exactly how this executive power is distributed. Look at how the 40 council members are elected for the 2026 to 2027 biennium. It's actually a really fascinating 3-tier system. Category A consists of 10 states with the largest interest in providing international shipping services, so major players like China, Greece, and Panama. Then, Category B includes 10 states with the largest interest in international seaborne trade, like Australia and Canada. Finally, Category C ensures global balance by bringing in 20 additional states, representing all major geographic areas of the world, from the Bahamas to Malaysia to South Africa. It's a meticulously designed balance of both global shipping power and diverse geographic representation.
Section 3, the 5 technical committees, engines of regulation.
If the Assembly and Council are the steering wheel, well, these committees are the technical engines where the specialized work actually gets done. The absolute powerhouse here is the Maritime Safety Committee, or MSC. It's the highest technical body of the entire organization. Its mandate literally empowers it to consider any matter concerned with aids to navigation, construction and equipment of vessels, and any other matters directly affecting maritime safety. That covers everything from preventing collisions to handling dangerous cargoes and investigating marine casualties. It's the ultimate authority on keeping ships and their crews safe.
Next up is the Marine Environment Protection Committee, or MEPC. This is the crucial second pillar of the IMO's technical engine. What's historically fascinating here is that as global environmental concerns really started to grow, the MEPC was actually elevated from a subsidiary body to full constitutional status back in 1985. Today, it tackles everything related to the prevention and control of pollution from ships, ensuring strict environmental regulations are continuously adapted. Now, because both the MSC and the MPC have such massive scopes, they rely on a heavily specialized support system of 7 assisting subcommittees. Just look at the sheer breadth of expertise required here. We have dedicated teams focusing on the human element, implementation, and navigation. Then we shift into technical hardware with pollution prevention, ship design, and ship systems, before rounding out with cargoes and containers. It's an incredibly focused, deeply knowledgeable network handling the real granular details of international shipping without getting bogged down.
Beyond safety and the environment, 3 other major committees complete the main structure. We have the Technical Cooperation Committee and the Facilitation Committee, which focuses on eliminating international red tape. But the Legal Committee has perhaps the most dramatic origin story. It was actually forged in 1967 as a direct result of the catastrophic Torrey Canyon oil spill disaster. created specifically to deal with the urgent legal questions that arose in its chaotic aftermath.
Section 4, Secretariat and Funding, Daily Operations.
Let's move to and see how this builds into the day-to-day administrative machinery that keeps the whole ship afloat. Just look at this surprisingly small number, 300. Given the massive global impact of the IMO across all the world's oceans, you might expect a sprawling bureaucracy of thousands. But the daily operations of the Secretariat are actually run by a highly efficient core of just some 300 international personnel, all based at the headquarters in London.
Leading these 300 dedicated professionals and managing the entire administrative side of the organization is the Secretary General. Currently, that's Mr. Arsenio Dominguez, who was appointed for an initial 4-year term that just kicked off on January 1st, 2024.
Of course, none of this structure works without robust funding. The adopted budget for the 2026 to 2027 biennium is £87,427,000 British pounds. This financial lifeblood is split across the 2 years and finances every single structural layer we've just discussed, from the high-level assembly meetings all the way down to the specialized subcommittees.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is exactly where that money comes from. It completely sets the IMO apart from other United Nations agencies. The amount paid by each member state doesn't just depend on standard economic metrics. It depends primarily on the physical tonnage of its merchant fleet. So the more commercial shipping capacity a nation has out on the water, the more it financially contributes to regulating those waters.
So as we wrap up this macro to micro journey, I want to leave you with this final question. How does this global structure of assemblies, councils, and technical committees directly impact the safety and availability of the goods you rely on every single day? From the cars we drive to the clothes we wear, global maritime trade really is the engine of our modern world. Understanding the careful, meticulous hierarchy that governs it reveals just how much organized effort goes into keeping our oceans safe and our supply chains moving. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I hope it sparked your curiosity to explore international shipping even further.